Welcome everybody to Anti-Stall Racing IMSA series. This is round 5 of season 5. We're at the Autodromo Enzo Dino Ferrari, or more commonly known as Imola. There is a chance of rain, as you can see on the screen, for today's race towards the end of the session, but we'll see if that comes. It is a low chance. I know that says 53, but I believe the official time from iRacing is much lower, so that's going to be interesting towards the end of the race. As usual, 14 minutes per class, followed by the 60-minute race. We've got GTP and GT3 for those of you who haven't joined us before, and inside each of those car classes we've got an AM and Pro class to make a little bit more excitement out of what would normally be battles lower down the field and give everybody a chance at some prize money and some prize positions. We've got about 5 seconds left on practice. We'll go and look at some live images, but there'll not be much to see. I'm joined today by Niels Uleman, who's joined me before in the commentary booth a couple of races ago, and raced in the IMSA series last season, a gap season for him this season. How are you looking forward to this race, Ule?
Yeah, thank you, George. Lovely to be here again. I'm really looking forward to this race after the last race at Long Beach. There's really something to live up for, even though this is not a circuit, street circuit. Sorry, still a tricky circuit. It's a lot of we see it here. There's a lot of grab traps right up to to the asphalt. You can go into the waters. We just see a driver doing here. A bit of rain also is gonna impact the race quite significantly. I could imagine, not only in GTP cars that we know are quite tricky to drive here, but also the GT3s. It's a little mistake and you're in the wall. So there's a lot to look forward to today.
Yeah, definitely. We've got championship battles heating up as well. We had a really interesting race at Long Beach last week out. If anybody wants to catch that, they can catch that on the YouTube page. Should be on the front channel in the Series 5 playlist. But worth going back and watching that for a little bit of context. Nobody wanted to lead that race. We had an AM winner overall in GTP, and about 5 different cars led the race, and 4 of them crashed out from it. So I think we'll be hoping for a little bit cleaner. There's a little bit more margin here, although not much. This is a proper racetrack with a lot of grass and gravel runoff and not much tarmac runoff at all. It will make for a different race. It'll make multi-class passing maybe a little bit easier, but it'll also mean people have got a little bit more margin, so we're less likely to have those crash streams. We're going to have more of a flat-out race. Put the timings on screen for you now. It's GT3 that we've got racing at the moment. Shouldn't be any GTPs out on track. I think we'll...
No, it's a nice, lovely train here of GT3 cars, all lining up ready to go on the first qualifying run. I'm a bit unfamiliar with the procedure for the GT3 cars. I think it's only one outlap, heat up the tires, and then it's go time. Whereas the GTPs, we can expect them to go for an outlet, then go for what you would call a warm-up lap, and then you of course have your usually 2 laps out in qualifying. A little bit of, I was gonna say there's a little bit of contact there, just barely manages us to touch each other. I think there's some Formula 1 drivers that would envy they're able to brake. Anyway, Casper here on the first flying lap coming into the first corner. Let's see. Yep. Really tricky corner. You can see also with the sausage curves on the inside. It's and because it is a chicane, if you get the first corner wrong, then the second corner is butchered, and then you have a little bit of a straight here. So it's a lot of corners that you end up messing up just in turn 1 alone. Yes, or what we would call turn 1. I think it's turn 2 on the track map. Anyway, it seems to know what he's doing right now.
Yeah, sausage curves make those first few corners really difficult. There's a lot to be gained if you can rub right up against them, but as soon as you touch them, it's going to send you into the barrier or into the gravel trap. So that'll be really interesting to watch in the race, especially with the multi-class. Some of the GTPs really won't like those curves. Some of the GT3s won't as well, but a couple of them. Not sure what the mix is of cars that we've got out on track, but a lot of them will be perhaps a little bit better over the curves, particularly the BMW. Saying that, we've only got one BMW. I'm not quite sure about the rest of the cars. I don't think any of them are particularly known for it, apart from the BMW and the Mercedes. I don't think we've got any Mercedes with us this season. So let's see what Casper Umlin can do coming into Rivazza 1 right now, and then follow through obviously with Rivazza 2 on the run down to the start finish line. He did have a couple of purple sectors, but they've been nicked away. Obviously first car round he is going to have them, but he kept them for a bit of a lap. Adam Jarvis behind him has got 2 purple sectors, but let's see what the benchmark is that Immolen's able to throw down. A 142.0 is a margin. Adam Jarvis can't beat it though. In the Porsche, and Matteo obviously in the AM class a little bit off the pace, but that's what we would expect, especially on a difficult track like this. There's still going to be a good few battles down in the AM class. Qualifying is obviously, the grid is overall within the class, but we do have points within the classes. Can't remember who it is, we'll find out for you. We've had one driver that we've moved down to AM to create a little bit more battle in AM, and that's perhaps where the pace lies, but that'll mean he's able to fight for something and give us a bit more to watch in AM. So despite Casper Immolen not having any purple sectors, he's hung on to what is provisional pole on that first lap.
Yeah, and didn't really look like he was pushing that hard. I was noticing him going into Variante Alta. Probably butchered that one, but you'll see it's after Auca Minerali. No, we didn't come up to it now. It's in a few corners if you keep on board with this BMW. Another really difficult corner with the sausage curbs. It's yeah, huge sausage curb on the insides of both corners. We're gonna get it here in just a second. Didn't look like he was pushing too much, but if you really are pushing, you can be sent flying if your car doesn't like it. You see, notice it here on the inside. Yeah, really, really big. Then a bit more forgiving on the runoff here, but it's still a wall pretty close to the track. So if you aren't careful, you can end up damaging the car quite significantly. It seems to be pretty nice here. But
Yeah.
BMW, not 24 car. Who is this? I don't see our car numbers. Anyway, Casper is still on the provisional pole. Nice little gap here, 1/10 roughly, a little bit more to Eldon. So yeah, 42.0. So it's still his first outlap that he is living on. Ooh, yeah, there Daniel Murphy running the gap a little bit down, 800th of a second. So still a P1, but I think we have much more to come in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more laps to come. The BMW Daniel Morphy slots into P2, so a little bit of time perhaps gained in the chicanes. You can see he's purple in sector 1, quickest driver through that part of the lap. Suggests to me that he's been able to use a little bit more of those curbs in turn 1, or as you said, it's actually turn 2, Variante Tamburello, and used a little bit more curve in there to get the car rotated earlier and the advantage of the BMW, but maybe won't be as quick around some other parts of the lap. So we'll see how that plays out for him in the race.
Lovely shot of the trees that we have here. Beautiful circuit, really is. Actually quite nice seeing a circuit like this one. It's quite, it's an odd one. It's in the middle of a forest, but you still see, especially in the when we get a look into Rivazza, there's some houses on the side of the track. I'd love to get one of those if I had the money.
Yeah,
Sure, a lot of people would.
that would be very nice.
Casper still stands, keeping his streak going. I think we can start to call it. Not I'm pretty unfamiliar with this qualifying performance, but at least the P1 he had last week at Long Beach won that one.
Yeah, very dominant performance. He was significantly quicker than a lot of the other cars around him, and looking at his point scoring, he's won at least 3 of the races, and I think 4 of them, but not on pole for one of them. So definitely the dominant driver in GT3 Pro at the moment.
Yeah, and Daniel Murphy really stepping up the last of the runners in the GT3 Pro class last week around. Getting his foot down, going into P2 provisionally as we are roughly halfway through the qualifying session for the GT3 cars.
Yes, it's Adam Jarvis we're following now on a good lap so far. Green sector 1, purple sector 2, with a very competitive time set.
Yeah, notice at the bottom it's Stefan Vestra. He's got a few yellow sectors, but he also has a purple one there for the 4th one. not quite enough to improve to anything. Yeah, P3. That's a nice result. Just 1,000 of a second faster than Melbourne. Yeah, really close battle there. Really close in the top 6 actually. It's 1.5 tenth separating the 6 drivers. So nothing is over yet, even though Kasper's time is better than I first anticipated it to be. It didn't look like he was. Of course, he's been pushing, but not to any extent where I would say, okay, that's gonna hold on for the next 9.5 minutes of this GT3 qualifying. Oh, getting really close to the wall there. Nice to see Adam Jarvis with a nice time, 22 thousandths of a second slower than Kasper. He's gonna be banging his steering wheel with that one. I'm sure he's put a lot of effort into that lap.
Yeah,
a couple of
purple sectors, so he'll definitely want to gain there. He's slower in a couple parts of the lap, so maybe he'll think he can gain that. Although saying that, I believe Kasper Immolen's just put a big margin over him, another 10th that he's going to have to find somewhere.
Just as we start to speak about people catching up to him, he extends his gap a little bit there. It's almost as if he can hear us talk. No, but it's not too much. A 10th. A little bit of a spin here. Is he going to get in the way of the Porsche behind? He does a nice job of holding his base, goes onto the gravel. That's probably not the best idea, but resets to the garage. That's a... Yeah, well, that's the best thing he can do there. Then go out again, try once more. 5 minutes left. So not a lot of laps he gets to do. See a lot of people spinning here. There's also a name of... Yeah, I was going to say name of the game for this circuit, a bit similar to Long Beach in the sense that you have to commit a lot. In the same way that you are afraid of the walls at Long Beach, you're afraid of the sausage curbs here because they're just so so fundamental to your racing and how you're gonna be able to perform. Because if you get them right, you can gain a lot of lap time. But if you're afraid of them and don't really want to touch them, that's where you lose your time. It's not necessarily into the corners, although that's also a part of the corner, obviously. But it's bravery. More than you would usually see on a normal track.
Yeah, there's a lot of commitment through some of these corners. You're not going to find the barrier very easily, but quite easy to end up in the gravel or off the track. And this time saying that somebody goes
as
off
we
at
see
turn 1.
2 cars doing here, yeah, both going off. Actually, but Daniel improving a little bit here, only 0.5 tenth behind Kasper. Still a professional pole. But as we look down, it's still really close. I mean, P8 to P3, that's just about a tenth, a little bit more than that, but really close. Even if we look further down, it's not much time separating them all the way down to 12th position or 13th, I should probably say. That we start to see a little gap, still relatively close to each other, but some people that could perhaps find a bit more time out there. Kasper briefly going purple, goes straight into a yellow. How does it look like a bug? Unless somebody else is on a flying lap. Try and see if anything else pops up.
I'm not sure. Just trying to work out what's going on with the camera angles. Everybody, we seem to be getting a lot of trees, whatever angles we go on. So trying to work out a way around it. Yeah.
They get his purple sector. It goes into a green sector with Stefan Wester, who's gone yellow, green, purple, whereas Kasper's gone green, yellow, green. So I think even with this, how far is Stefan behind? 2 tenths. It's not. I don't see the timing board, so I don't know how much faster Stefan is going. But you can get a relatively close final lap here from Stefan. Might be able to get another one. Let's see Kasper. How much he's lost compared to what he's been gaining around the lap. Gonna cross the line in just a second. And it's an improvement, not by much, but it is an improvement. It's a little bit of a gap to the others saying that he's not done, and then it's Stefan. Oh, really close, 0.5 tenth. But goes in front of Daniel up into P2 from the P5 position they normally had. Emra also improving by quite a lot. So we're seeing a lot of sub 42 times here, 4 people dipping into the 41s. Just barely there for a member, but the 41 is a 41, right?
Yeah, this will be the sort of closing stages for GT3. Checkered flag will be falling shortly, so this people be a lot of people's last runs.
Don't expect to see much more coming out of people. Saw a brief purple sector there from someone. Seems they've gone into the pit. Fortunately, some green lap times from fast people. Imola going green once again. Might be able to go for a final lap. See if he can get anything nice in.
Check flag.
We only have 3 people out. I don't hear the radio message neither, so I'm not sure what they are.
It was GT3 checkered flag from race control.
Oh yeah, of course. Getting really close. A few seconds before we have our GTP cars coming out onto the track. Another yellow sector for Member. It's not looking too good here, but the green one. So there's a final sector for Member to try and improve on. As we are following L in here for the final couple of corners coming into Iwatsa in just a second. Should be crossing the line pretty soon. Does not improve enough. Lawrence goes up into P8. What about Selden? Is gonna be enough for anything? No. Doesn't see. Oh yeah, P5. Almost into the sub 42s, but really nice lap there in the end for Elden. Really close. It's a P5, but it's just a 10th slower than the pole setter, and that's just incredible. Tells you a lot about what we're gonna be witnessing in the next hour.
Yeah, we're going to get some very interesting battles, I think, and a lot of close racing. Maybe people using the slipstream to the best of their advantage as well. With a pack that close, you don't need much of a tow to pop out, and maybe there might not be anybody that really wants to be leading, especially heading into the final few laps of the race. It might be best to have a little bit of a tow if the GT3s are all still that packed up. Got a green flag in GTP. As you can see, we've got a lot of those cars coming out onto the track now. Now, we had a bit of a mixed up grid last week. We think that was because the Acura wasn't as strong as it usually is at Long Beach. With a lot of the low speed corners, it kind of struggles with torque at low speed and can't really get, well, it does get the power down quite easily, but there's not much power that comes with that when you're in those low speed corners in the Acura. But a much quicker circuit here, a lot of corners where the key is to carry the speed, so expect the balance to swing back towards the drivers driving the Acura, and therefore a lot of the drivers in the pro class who are driving the Acura. There's not many people in the Porsche or the Cadillac, not got anybody in the BMW this season. Be really interesting. We've got a couple of drivers that have showed a lot of promise in GTP. Jean-Paul Siemens, one that jumps out to me a lot of promise, and perhaps not as much delivery on that as he would have liked.
Yeah, I'd like to see how the Porsche is going to be able to perform around this track. I'm not sure. George, how do you reckon the chances for the Porsches are going to be?
I think the Porsches will still be pretty good here. I think the cars that are going to struggle the most is maybe the Cadillac. The Porsche is still pretty quick in a straight line. The Cadillac is maybe a little bit better all around, but that tends to mean it's not the best at any particular track. So we're on board here with the Cadillac. The only Cadillac in the field is Daniel Reinecke. Good race last week, or at least a good qualifying. Can't quite remember what happened in the race, but let's see if he can do anything decent in the Cadillac. Balaz has set 2 purple sectors, but that is to be expected when you're the first car around a lap, although no one's beaten his sector 1 so far. Cadillac looks pretty compliant over the curbs, I have to say. I can't imagine the Acura is able to take quite that much of it. We'll see. Nice and close to the sausage curbs there. Turned in quite nicely. Really, really difficult corner, I have to say, through there. It's probably my least favourite of the lap, to be honest, because it feels like you should be able to go so much quicker than you are. And if there's anybody that's ever driven this game, this track on something like a Assetto Corsa, where the curves aren't quite mapped correctly, you can carry an insane amount of speed through Tamburello and Villeneuve in particular. So through Acqua Minerale then, in the Cadillac, quite a technical section. Gets it turned in pretty nicely though. Balaz's still got those 2 purple sectors, so we'll expect him, well obviously he's going to be the first car to set the line, we'll expect him to be the pace setter. Alvaro not far behind, so he'll have had a nice tow down the start finish line. The time to beat then at this point in session is a 1:27.8. Looks like Alvaro perhaps invalidated his lap. Chris Van Stryland only manages a 29.9. Elo Cabinero pops up to P2. Mateus only to P3, so not the pace we'd expect to see from Mateus, but there's normally more to come from him. Let's see what Daniel Ricciardo can do as he comes across the line. That's going to be an interesting challenge. Takes the flag. And where does that put him? So there we go. The Cadillac not quite as pacey as he would have liked. Got a couple of purple sectors popping up further back.
Yeah, a lot of people a little bit all over the place, I'd say, with the lap times, but I think it's, as I mentioned earlier, some people that are perhaps not pushing too hard in this lap, as we see someone that's going off to the side here, but I think this is going to be the push lap for most cars. I was going to say the second out lap, after the warm-up lap, you're going to get a hot lap, so I'd expect people to be a little bit closer than they are right now.
Yeah, particularly we've got a lot of teammates out here in the session, obviously, so I think we'll see.
Yeah. There's some tow that's going to play into.
Absolutely, yeah.
Going to play a part into qualifying session. There's a little bit of straight here, so I don't think the caddy's going to be too off in terms of pace around the track. You of course have the main straight all the way from Rivazza to Tamburello. That's a pretty long straight, and then you have another great straight after Tamburello up to Villeneuve, and then a little bit of a twisty section actually from Tosa all the way down to going on to Alta, but still straight, so you can pull some speed on some nice fast corners where the Acura doesn't pull away that much, not in my experience at least. So hopefully it's just the warm-up lap for the qualifying session that we're seeing the Acura, the Cadillac struggling a little bit with. We see, you just get pushed wide from the sausage curb. Can't really take any kind of curbs with the Acura. not compared to the Caddy. I'd also play into. The qualifying as well as the race. The Cadillac, if you set it up correctly, can take a greater amount of curb more than the Acura can. Let's say the Acura is 2 times. I don't know. Anyway, everything seems to got bunched up a little bit more. Top 3 now within 2.5 tenths. Not as great as the GT3, where we saw the top 9 within 2.5 tenths. But a lot of times go 8 minutes, people are still able to go out and set some fast laps, but it's starting to look a little tight for the runners. I'd say above them, a second behind P1. Probably gonna want to go out pretty soon and get the throttle down, maybe change the energy mode if they forgot to set it into qualifying.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of yellow sectors at the moment though, so I don't know what everyone's going to do to try and improve. I wonder if the track's heated up a little bit. Jean-Paul Seaman on a green lap, although he's not actually set a lap so far, so he needs green sectors really, otherwise something's going very wrong. But let's see what he can do. Power down to the line. Is there going to be an improvement?
Colombo, they're improving into P17, but it's a little bit on the slower side, I'd say. Seaman setting a lap time, but it's 2 seconds, 2.7 seconds, sorry, off the the pole position, so it's not really what he was looking for. Hopefully it's just a warm-up lap for him as well.
Yeah, I would hope so. He's has some pretty strong qualifying performances through the year, and he's really sending it through here. Although the accurate struggling a little bit there, carrying a bit too much speed, and he had to slow it down on the exit to not end up in the gravel trap. But not sure what the sector time was. It was a purple sector 1 though, I can tell you that much. So not losing too much speed. So going to be sector 2 is still green, it's not purple, it's a couple of attempts off Balaz, who's just set 3 purple sectors in a row. Sector 2, sector 3, sector 4. Would expect that sector 2 to be a little bit slower given that small mistake we saw. What can he do in sector 3? That's going to be the question, to see if he can challenge further up the grid at 19.8. So again, a couple of attempts off what Balaz did, but much better than his previous lap. Takes a lot of the curve there, and surprisingly the accurate takes it. Balaz 3 purple sectors only improves by a tiny bit on his own lap time, but he's 2 temps clear of the next nearest car at the front, so this could be a bit of a turning point for Balaz if he can have some good results and dominate a field like that. It really, we said it in Long Beach, it really just lays down a marker to everybody else in the field. So Jean-Paul Seaman will be the next car across the line. Can there be an improvement? You would hope so. It's a 1:57. Sorry, it's not
28.1.
There we
So
go.
it goes from being 2.7 seconds down to just 2.5 tenths. Yeah, a great improvement there from Jean-Paul.
Yeah, a big improvement. Very impressive lap
Goes
time
out.
there.
Yeah, goes out now. Hopes to get his final laps in, as most people will probably do now. We see a lot of people pitting. Of course, I've been throughout the entire qualifying session, but I think a lot of people are going to be pitting now, as we only have 4.5 minute left of the qualifying session. It's gonna get a little tight if you want an outlap, and perhaps even the last warm-up lap. But let's try and see. I think some people might also go for 2 hot laps afterwards. It's of course gonna warm up the tires a little more than just a warm-up lap, but going across the gravel does not warm up the tires, I can tell you that. But yeah, still have time to go out.
Yeah, we saw
Last qualifying.
Matisse set that
Like
up like
42.44. Oh,
Will it be
black
for-
flag, yeah, okay.
unsafe pit exit or something, I would imagine, and he's reset and cleared the flag. So we saw that lap time that put Jean-Paul Seaman in P3 was done with green tyres, saying that Hector Colazo displaces him on the second row of the grid. But we saw that lap time was done on the second lap when he got much more temperature into the tyres. So I think that's definitely worth noting, and I think that will be perhaps something that everyone else will maybe look at who hasn't been doing that and think, there we go. I think that is the way to go. That's what they'll be thinking. So if I cleared again for David van der Vacker, not sure what that's about. We'll see. Probably just for speeding in the pit lane or something, I would imagine, and will have been cleared by race control.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that's got to be thinking right now, what are they gonna do? Of course, pretty close in the top, but as we go further down, the gap increases, and perhaps it's can be a lot of things. Oh,
Hector Colazo pulls off the road. He'd set a purple sector 1 and 2 green sectors, so not what he would have wanted.
No, but if you want to know the lap time, this is it's right on the edge of being able to go out and do another one. I could perhaps go a little longer. It's about 2 minutes left, but if you want 2 minutes left of the qualifying session. But if you want a slow lap without using too much battery on the outlap, then it's right about now that you have to go into the pit and reset and go out again.
Absolutely. We're on board with Jean-Paul Seaman, actually not the car I intended to be on board with. 2-minute warning for GTP has been issued. Patrick Zivassi here will go on board again until we can get the camera packs fixed, but green sectors for a lot of a lap, a couple of yellows, but big improvements on what he'd done previously. So let's see if he can move up. Alvaro Gutierrez moves up to P7. Not the tidiest final couple of corners. Patrick Zivassi, a bit of correction on the exit of the run down on the long straight.
Gaining and losing time ultimately goes up into P6, so it's an improvement. And goes in front of Matthijs.
Just want to point out, Hector Collazo in P3 is an AM driver, so very impressive performance from him, and he's put Jean-Paul Seaman in between himself and Yannick, who is also an AM driver, so AM drivers with strong showings here as well, like we saw last week. Good to see the improvement across the season. Improvements so far this lap from Robin Duhamel. He's got a nice little slipstream here behind the Acura. He's going to lose a little bit of downforce in the corners, but hopefully shouldn't be too much. Running it through Piratella. Really quick corner. Need the most of a carbon base downforce, but he's managed to... and he managed to avoid the spinning Acura very well there and not lose too much time, it seems. We'll see what the sector times say. We lost a little bit of time in the last sector, but green in 2 of the sectors so far, so it could be an improvement from Robin Duhamel, who had a really strong performance in qualifying in Long Beach. Had a mistake in the race which actually took him out of the lead of the race, but really interesting so far. That's checkered flag for GTP called by Race Control. You can also see it on the side of the screen. He's sliding it through the final corner, and he is going to go and complete a lap. We saw a couple of GT3s not bothered to finish a lap, but he's going to complete it. Hopefully that means he's going to improve for his sake, and he does. He moves at 1 slot on the grid, so nothing major, but he'll take it, I'm sure. Davy van der Vacker. Looks like the livery's not quite loaded properly on that Acura, but he's only got...
up into P5.
There we go.
On his final lap, yeah.
Warning for erratic driving for one of the cars. Not sure who that...
Car number 9 looked like, didn't it?
Yeah, let's try and get there.
Davey cross the lap, a single green sector can be enough if he doesn't lose too much. Didn't look like he improved on anything really apart from his middle sector there. So 2 runners, it seems here at the end. It's Daniel Rennicke. Gotta go across the line in just a moment. See, get him here. Crosses the line and it's a 130.5. Not enough for any kind of improvement. No, 129.5. Actually, I'm sorry. It's then it's Yangso Ovale. Keeps his P12 1.1 second behind the pole sitter. So Ballas never really had to break a sweat, did he? He went out, had a nice lap, and then improved it slightly a few minutes later. But P1 there, and then it's a pretty tight field. Actually, from P2 down to P7, that's 600th of a second. So really close there. P8 sitting a little bit alone, 3/10 behind P7, and then it's P9, P10, really close. And then from that, there's a nice little gap between the cars. Let's put it like that. But yeah, pretty promising pole positions in both classes. Really, never really had much of a fight. A little bit of a fight in GT3 there with some guys coming close, but ultimately you don't need much more than just a 10th to just 1,000 really.
Yeah,
to be fast. It doesn't matter about how much.
Absolutely.
Anyway. Yeah.
Confirmation there from Race Control. All drivers entered in the correct car and class, so everybody taking part will be scoring points. We're going to disappear for a couple of seconds, and we'll come back and take you through the grid for round 5 of IMSA series at Imola.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome back to Andstall Racing. Sorry about that. We're trying to see what we can do to fix the cameras, but not much luck. I believe it's just, to be honest, the way this track is set out. So we'll be doing a lot of onboards today to try and mitigate the effect that's going to have on the broadcast. Let's go through the qualifying results. We'll go through overall in GTP first. Obviously, we saw them at the end, but they're who is going to be on the grid. So GTP qualifying, Balaz is on pole as we saw, and then a couple of temps back to Eloy who's going to join him on the front row. Then we've got Patrick Zavassi P3, Hector Colazo P4, then Mateus alongside his teammate Jean-Paul Seaman P5 and P6. Maybe they can work together to try and move forwards a little bit. Yannick Girard P7, Alvaro Gutierrez and Robin Duhamel, Quinton Verdonk round out the top 10. Then P11 got David van der Vacker, followed by Juanto Avale, Chris van Stryland in P13, Danny Reneke P14, Carlos Ponce in P15 and Kevin Held in P16. Then rounding off the GCP fields, we've got Yao Diaz P17, Marcel Roof in P18, Albert Preem in P19 and Mohamed Kalambo in P20. Remember, points are scored in the qualifying session, so that's important. Obviously, that's determined by your pro and am position rather than your overall position. Qualifying results for GT3, if you want to take us through, Ule.
Yes, it's Kasper Umelen had a really nice start to the qualifying and kept it, even though it's only 500th of a second. But I mean, faster time is a faster time. So he's followed by Stefan Wester, who is really close to Daniel Wagioni running off the top three. Then it's Emra Kamalda P4, Eldin Senderic, I think it's pronounced, in P6, Adam Jarvis Adam Jarvis P6.
1 second, sorry about that. Just changing sessions.
Murphy P7, Lawrence Stryland. Yes, a lot of these names I'm not good with. P8, Mattia Upatali P9. Lovely to see him here on home turf. We can say the Italian driver. Cohen Guidis P10. Of course, Daniel Magoni, also Italian driver. The next one, all within 5:10. Let's keep that in mind. That's probably going to be really important for the race. A lot of close racing, I could imagine, especially with the slipstream that we're going to have down the main straight. Not much of a P11.
Apologies. There we go. P11 is Ignas, the AM class leader in the points. We've got the cars gridding up at the moment, but we'll just continue to go through.
Pauli Antonoi P12, Samir Ashad P13, Michael Boucher P14, Vic van Overbeek P15, Matteo Lemre P16, Bart Indhoven P17, Amy Graham P18, Anthony Caranta P19, and then to round it off it's Ricardo Sampati P20. So a lot of Italian drivers actually showing up today, rocking the Italian flag. Probably a little extra happy today, not only because we are driving in Imola, but also some great news outside of iRacing for the Italians. See, we had the GTP cars going here, so they're going to be starting really soon, starting pretty far off the track. So not much of a run up here before we get starting. Let's see. Ballas ready. Sitting heavy right foot right now. Let's see, when is he gonna go? Gonna get right up into the start zone.
Yeah.
See, really still bunched up.
Backing everyone right up.
Go?
Waiting until the last second. Looks like he's gone.
There he goes. And then we have the start of the GTP field. Lots of cars really close. Going to be interesting to see if we have any contact here. Ballas leading. Then it's Patrick still P2. Balash pulling a nice grab here in the beginning. Ooh, saw one cut across the gravel, but everybody seemed to be pointing in the right direction. Still, Balash, you were really...
Oh, car's off in the back.
Oh, it's a bit of contact there in the back. Someone trying to avoid, so he has to go across the gravel trap. Oh, love to see a replay of that in a moment. Oh, do we have a car on the grass there? A little unfortunate. Let's see that it's the GT3 start. Remember, a lot of these cars are really close in terms of pace, so it's going to be great to see, especially at the beginning. Not much of a gap there, outside gap here to P2, but great fight for P3. Doesn't manage to get up the inside there, Daniel on Stefan. Ooh, but we have a little bit of an error there on the exit. Yeah, looks like... Yeah, great battle here for P3. It's Daniel who's still on the inside of Stefan. Remember that we have a left corner coming up, so he's gonna be looking to overtake here. A little bit of smoke, but doesn't seem like anybody saw, so he's gonna get his P3. Lovely racing, even closer racing there as we got towards the back going into Aqua Minerali. It's P1 and P2 running off. P3 trying to put a little bit of gap, but still a lot of cars really close to him, so it's going to be looking in his rearview mirrors for most of the final lap. And oh yeah, who's that? That's a GTP car that is pointing in the right direction, but that rear seems to want to go on him. Probably going to get a replay of that really soon.
Yeah, we'll go back and look.
It's we're rounding off lap 1, coming across the line here in just a second. Get a little bit of a gap between the drivers, but it's a long train still for P4 and down, so we're far away from done. Everybody's gonna try and pull as much of a gap as they can before the rain may come towards the end of this race. It's really important to try and be brave and get as big of a gap as you can. Unless you're comfortable in the rain, then you just want to try and save as much fuel as possible. There's a lot of tactics that comes into the race when you start to develop a train like this. Of course, you want to overtake and be as far up the field as possible, but if you can save fuel and pass someone in the pits, that's also going to be a great tactic to be able to use further on into the race. So the pace can change any moment, really. Still waiting to see. We had a little bit of contact with the GTP cars there on the first lap. Perhaps we can get a replay of that briefly. Balas, just to take us back to the GTP field, still leading. Nice little gap there of 1.2 seconds. So he's not only flying in the qualifying session, but also flying in the race. And then we have the replay here. Yeah, see some cars off the track, but seems to be a little before. Drivers coming up into Tosa,
which was a little bit further back in the GT3s. Lap 1.
GT3 getting tagged on the rear there on the exit of Villeneuve. And then the inevitable is happening. He gets turned around by some other cars that can't really avoid him, and then he goes into the wall to try and... Oh yeah, there we go. This was our incident. Looks like the blue car there. I'm not able to see who that is, but he gets tagged on the entry. And
and then another incident afterwards.
Yeah, and another incident further up. A little difficult to see, but yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. It still is a tight racetrack. Not that much room for anyone, especially not in the chicanes. There's pretty much only one line, and if you don't take it, you end up sacrificing a lot of speed, not only through your corner but also through the rest.
Yeah, lots of exciting battles going on throughout the field. GTP am currently leading, actually, I believe. Actually, I think that's a timing error. We'll try and get that sorted out quite quickly. Couple of technical difficulties on our side, apologies. Should be back running live for my co-broadcaster, Ule.
Yeah, thank you. I see some lovely cars.
Yeah, not quite sure. We've got why we've got GTP AM listed above GTP Pro at the moment, but we'll.
Race control. I must keep driving.
No, but with the way Hector is driving, I think it's fair to say that he belongs on top of everybody else. 4.3 seconds gap. Goes down a little bit here. See the timing where he's doing some mistakes. It looks like it's the timing that's missing a little bit more than 4 seconds. In almost 6 minutes, that's a lot of time. It's not something you just pull because somebody makes a mistake. Well, it could be, but I think Hector is just on a different level today as well. We saw it at Watkins, managing to somehow claim a lot of ground in the final 10 minutes. Goes from P4 up to a P3, helped a little bit by GT3 car that had an incident with Joao Diaz, who unfortunately lost out on the podium position, but great driving from Hector. He's a fast fella. Talking about GTPs, coming up to the first bit of GT3 traffic here. Manages to navigate nicely through GT3s. Saw him pass Amy Grime and then
In an incident, further back in the field. Believe it's Hector Calaz. We'll try and see if we can get a replay of that. Here you go.
Yeah, Garage doesn't seem to be too happy there on the radio. See, they're really close here through Villeneuve. Coming up to
no.
Yeah, and it's a GT3 that tags a GTP, and then the GTP didn't look like he was holding his brakes, and then tags another GTP car. I think we get it again here. No, it's another incident. No, it's the same incident. Yep. So GT3, see, he goes to the left. No, goes across the track and tags a GTP. Yeah, not unsure who that is, but might be looking at a penalty for that move. Didn't look like the smart for GTP driver to do about that. Fortunately, but he didn't manage to take out all three GTPs, so someone made it out alive.
Yeah, really unfortunate incident there.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it actually was in the different classes, but I think you can see them at the bottom of the timing tables as we go across them throughout the race. Two teammates, as it seems, racing each other really close. It's and it's once again we get into these kind of situations where you sit behind another car and you think, should I pass, should I stay behind and try and save the fuel and go for the overtake into throughout the pit stops. A lot of tactics is not just about being ahead, because if you can gain enough time behind another car and you don't lose as much as you gain in the pit stop, then and that's a possibility, but it's difficult to judge when you're out there in the car struggling with keeping it on the black stuff. A black flag for car 40. See an incident here. There's a 244. See on the outside of the Porsche. Yeah, gotta be in the inside now, of course. Was the outside now? Camillo Ali. Davy van der Wacke. Ooh. Yeah, didn't see what happened, but collided with the GT3 car. Yeah, I think we're gonna get it again here. It's Ignas Misasevsky. Had a nice little qualifying session, but let's see, goes across, and then what? Yeah, looks like he's just getting tagged in in a 3 wide. Yeah, 3 wide into Variante Alta. That doesn't really go, does it?
Yeah, that's
doesn't matter what car.
Never a good idea. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I don't even think you could do it in a Formula V. Anyway, back to life as it seems. Adam Jarvis following him.
Yeah, close battles in GT3 at the moment, although they are being sort of impacted by the GTPs trying to make their way through.
Lost a little bit of time there. Seemed with the GTP traffic, that's unfortunate. But also name of the game is not lost the traffic that he has, is the traffic somebody else is gonna have. So it's not just because you lose a second, it doesn't mean you can't get it back later on. Nice little position here. Battle here for Albert Preem and P5 trying to hunt down Yangzhou Valley. No, that's not a Yangzhou Valley. It's an AM driver. But I'm unfamiliar. Ooh, big moment there. I'm not sure if he went off the track, but great oversteer on the exit of the first chicane. Luckily managed to brake in time, Albert Preem, and is able to keep on going. Really close. He has a little smiley there on his lift. Wheel arch, I think. No, that's not a wheel arch. What is it called, George?
Wheel cover?
You're the technical guy.
I am the technical guy, yeah. I'm not.
You need to give me the terms.
I'm quite sure, let's go.
I think that was his face after avoiding.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that is a wheel cover. I don't know. But yeah, that's definitely what his face will look like after gaining a couple of positions without having to do much of the work. This is the sort of excitingness that having a multi-class can create. Like I said, got loads of really close battles throughout the GT3 field. Most of the traffic has made its way through now. Saying that, we see a Porsche diving down the inside, and that's going to help Paolo, who we're on board with now, by backing up the car 36 in front of him into him a little bit and removing the toe of the car in front of the 36. Which is a 74 of Lawrence Van Stryland, but in front, Mark D. Hutchinson won't have quite the toe he had before, and that's going to give Paolo a really good chance on the run down into turn 2 here, I think. Let's see if he can get the exit nicely, and he does. He eats a lot of the curb. Not quite as good an exit as the car in front, you have to say. He seems to be falling back a little bit, but he's going to gain a lot of time now as they get up towards top speed, start to hit that wall of air. Let's see what he can do if he can make a move in the braking zone. Pretty difficult in your GT3 with the ABS, and he can't quite make the move. Perhaps struggling a little bit. Both these guys in the Audi, so no massive top speed advantage or corner advantage. Driving a very similar car, you've got to get creative with your ways of getting past.
Yeah, purple sector for Ignas Winchesevsky. Purple lap, sorry. So even though he was in an accident a little bit before, his car doesn't seem to be damaged too much. So the P3, 5.5 seconds behind us. He has everything to fight for still. Only 13 minutes into the race. And black flag, as it notifies from the race control for the car 90. But Paolo Antinori, he's tired of being behind this Audi. He wants to get past.
The drive-through for erratic driving.
For a move around the outside, but didn't really. I'm not really gonna go into that. Ooh, turns in too late and yeah, just doesn't get the right line into the chicane, and that's what I mentioned earlier. If you get the first corner wrong, then you get the entire chicane wrong, and you get a horrible exit onto the straight, and you see how far ahead the Audi is gonna be able to pull. That was at least a second down. Someone that's not a second behind is Imola Kamaldar, currently P2, right behind Kasper Umelin in GT3. So even though Kasper was, we're not gonna say significantly faster in the qualifying session, but 2/10 is still faster than anybody else on track. Emma is able to keep up nicely behind him, using the toe properly. I think he is, since he's P2, there's not really much fighting for him to do. If he can save enough fuel and stay behind Kasper, then he can gain the time in the pit lane. But they do seem to be teammates, so there's much more to it than just wanting to overtake each other. I think there's some championship that might come into play as well for the two drivers. let's see. Hopefully they don't have too many team orders and are willing to fight each other.
Yeah, well, we've seen a couple of Dutch League racing cars crash into each other.
That wouldn't be the first time, would it?
Absolutely not. So let's see what happens. I mean, yeah, like I say, that wouldn't be the first time they crash into each other. I think we've seen it's difficult to pass in the GT3, although these two drivers are in a different car. We'll get that on screen for you quickly. So, different cars here. A Ferrari, I believe, we're on board with. No, I'm wrong. It's a Porsche, and we're following an Audi. So, slightly different cars here, different levels of performance.
I was gonna say that's not a Porsche in front, but that was Imola and his Porsche hunting down Audi. Audi doesn't. It's a little bit of a weird situation we have going on where an Audi is leading and an Audi is also in P3. As we see some overtakes going on there for P5 in the Pro class. There's a lot of cars that are going really close to each other, but they're all Porsches. So it's Audi, Porsche, was BMW, Porsche, and then some Audi again further down. Don't think it's going to play that much into the racing, what you're driving around. I think they, at least on paper, seem to be relatively close to each other. Isn't GT3 field a little bit of a different story here in GTP, where Porsche is actually leading, at least in the M class. Yeah, some accuracy in the GTP Pro, that's to be expected. But a Cadillac in PT, Daniel Rönneke.
Yeah, Ballas leading
to see him.
overall. Still not sure why we've got GTP AM showing above GTP Pro, but nothing we can fix right now. Overall, it doesn't really matter because the points are scored based off of your overall class, so we're still going to see where people finish in their class. We're on board with Carlos Pons. It looks like he's about to make an overtake, but that car in front is a Pro car, so he'll just be using the car in front for his advantage. Daniel Rönneke, though, is close to making an overtake. This is, like you say, Porsche. Sorry, not Porsche. This is Cadillac on Porsche. So, can he do anything different?
Where's Collado? He was leading in the M class before, wasn't he? I remember talking about him being 4 seconds up the road. But he's nowhere to be seen now. He's not in.
He was involved in that incident that we saw earlier.
Ah, yeah, of course.
Spun around and caught by the GT3. That's gone to race control to review. I believe perhaps for an unsafe rejoin now. Maybe view that the GTP and GT3 both failed to hold their brakes. A little bit of help from the teammate there, it looks like, in the GT3 class. This is a battle for P2 overall. Quinten Verdonk has kind of sailed away up front. Daniel Rönneke with much tighter line there in the Cadillac and a much better exit, really putting the pressure on Chris Van Struylen now and closes right up in the braking zone. The GT3 AM car is really going to help them here. Daniel Rönneke, can he go around the outside? No, he thinks the better of it. He's going to clear the GT3, which is done now. He's going to put his foot down. Doesn't quite get the exit, but has gained quite a lot on the car in front. Chris Van Struylen, though, good exit from there. And let's see what they can carry in speed through here. We're going through Aqua Minerale shortly. This will be the challenge of how much Daniel Rönneke can stay close. And look how much curb he's able to use. The Cadillac seems much happier than the Porsche does in some of these corners.
Yeah, Daniel Rönneke proving that it's not over for him just because it's in a Cadillac. As we see, is that Wyszynski? No, that's not Wyszynski going off the track. It's Porsche that was involved in the incident earlier. Not sure who it is, but Daniel, yeah, really closing up to. Is it Verdonk there in the Porsche? Yeah, really. Verdonk is being able to pull away, but his lines doesn't seem quite as nice as Daniel is. He seems to be having a few moments here and there where the car snaps a little bit on him. At least from what I can see. Oh, yeah, okay, and then he have overtaken by what I assume is a pro car, an Acura, unfortunately for the Cadillac, but some GT3 traffic coming into play, and suddenly he is not as close to Verdun as he was earlier.
Yeah.
A little sad, but I think we're gonna get him getting up there again. He seems to be having the pace to challenge the Porsche.
Yeah, this is perhaps the best on-track battle at the moment. Lawrence Van Stryland chasing down the car in front. Saying that, the car in front is a Mark D. Hutchinson. He's not showing on the timing screen for some reason. We'll get that fixed quickly, but you can see on track just how close they are.
Yeah, as we say, it is still Imola that's really close to Casper, but he's been like that for the past 21 minutes 70, just staying there behind, happy to save the fuel that he's able to save. Pushed it all out first to pit.
Yeah, maybe thinks he can
And
undercut.
What we would classify as normal runners. Of course, some people having incidents would have had to pit at this point, but yeah, 21 minutes into the race, a little bit of an early stop. I think without having the track map open, there's a lot of GTP traffic coming across that he might want to try and avoid, and see if he can gain some time by having more clean air than the 36 Audi would have had.
Yeah, let's see what he can do. He looked like he maybe thought he was potentially quicker. No, Van der Vack has been off track. Let's have a look what happened here. Oh, GT3 is really slow in front. No!
Oh, that's a rear going, yeah.
Yeah, you can see the steering wheel. Nearly avoided it.
For him to do. Yeah, but the suspense steering, Vaca just noticed that GT3 is going slow as he's coming through a chicane. That's not the best opportunity to slow down, and then the unfortunate happens. Daniel Rönnecke. Okay, it's back to life, so he's not involved in an accident. Luckily for him.
Daniel Morphy in the BMW, chasing down Stefan Vestra in the Porsche. He's nice and close. Look how much curb he's able to eat and just get the car straightened up a little bit sooner. Are we going to see any of these guys dive for the pits? The cars in front certainly do, and Morphy is going to do the same. So we're 22 minutes in. The GT3s definitely aren't going to make it on one stop, and a lot of GTPs in the pit lane at the moment as well, so none of them are going to be able to make it on one stop either. That's interesting to see. We saw a lot of cars in Long Beach make it on the one stop, so perhaps using a bit more fuel here would make sense given the layout of the track. Alvaro Gutierrez yet to pit, currently leading in AM, but that is because he hasn't pit. We'll see where he comes out after the pit cycle. Or is he trying to make it on the one stop? He's got a long way to go, but only 2/3 of the way through the stint, essentially, and most of the other cars have already pitted. Lead GT3 cars still haven't pitted though. The two DLR cars still running side by side. Well, in line at least.
Yeah. Do you think they're gonna go into the pit together as well?
Let's see. I think it's interesting. Emre could maybe do something a little bit different here. He's been sat behind his teammate all race. Nicely packed up. Will have saved a lot of fuel by doing that. Maybe he can go a little bit longer.
I would assume that with the amount of fuel that he's been saving just sitting there behind, he will be able to go for another lap, perhaps. If he doesn't go for another lap, he's going to be able to have a shorter pit stop. I think this GTP traffic haven't slowed him down too much. It's gonna be enough for him to pass Casper in the pits.
Incident for Chris Van Stryland just after they passed Daniel Rönnecke. Oh, it's gonna be with the GT3.
Pushing, power sliding through the exit.
Oh no! Oh
yeah.
That was never gonna end well.
Didn't really look like he... Yeah, he really knew if he wanted to go for that move or not. seems to be having the speed as he comes past the first portion, but then comes up to the second one, and then the corner comes a bit earlier, and then he probably anticipated than contact. Fortunately, let's hope he spun around and didn't see what happened to the other Porsche there. Daniel Macchioni, P3 in qualifying, P4 currently. Not that far behind Daniel Murphy, but they have both pit. At least they gotta be have with a 42-second gap up to P2. Of course, the two runners haven't pitted yet. We've seen overtaken here by a Cadillac actually.
Yeah, I think we're gonna
really close.
expect to see the leaders in GT3 Pro this time round. They're the only cars out on track that still haven't pitted. And as I say that, there we go. See Casper Imola peeling into the pit lane, followed closely by his teammate. Now let's just stay in the pit lane and watch what Casper does here, because I think
they're really close going into the pits. IMSA, of course, optimizing a bit by taking a more narrow line through the pit entry, not using the road on the left as Casper did. Casper is already down. They're both taking tires, but it's gonna come down to fuel. Ooh, it's gonna go. IMSA goes a little before Casper.
Oh, and he gets alongside.
To be an accident, they're side by side through the pit lane. IMSA actually seemed to be edging him out there a little bit.
Oh, have they worked it out?
Yeah,
they have. They're inside each other, but the Porsche comes out ahead. So change of lead in GT3 Pro. The fuel saving behind his teammate has worked, but GCP's approaching behind. Let's see if he can handle the pressure of leading. Ula, I'm sure you can agree with me here that leading, well, staying behind your teammate and matching that pace is one thing, but becoming the car out front that's dictating the pace is a whole nother. And the GTP nearly tags him twice in just a few corners time. It's a black flag for another car. I believe that's for exceeding the incident limit. We'll get that confirmed for you a little bit later on. Ignace has had a crash further back as well. He's picked up a meatball flag. I'm not sure what caused that. See if we can get a replay. Here we go. Oh, in the final corner. Oh no, that's not going to end well. Oh,
that's good. Yeah, no, yeah.
The Audi. That's doing. Yeah, it doesn't hold the brakes. Trying to get off a track. That'll go for review with race control. The general rule of race control tends to be, whilst the car's around you, just hold your brakes and come to a stop as quickly as possible. It's easier for them to avoid you than it is for you to avoid them when he comes into the pit lane to try and fix that meatball flag.
Seemed like he wanted to try and get off the racing line there by trying to, I was gonna say reverse, but he was rolling backwards into the gravel, but that's where you want to go with the kind of line that he was taking, and then unfortunately they crash. I don't think there's much there for them to do, but yeah, you mentioned earlier it's easy enough to be behind the car. It's not the pressure on you, the pressure is on the car in front. He has to try and keep the car as clean as possible. Of course, you have to do it as well, but you have someone behind that's able to take your position the second that you slide just a little bit, and then the road changes, and you have to go from an attacking mindset to defending mindset. You always want to defend from the guy behind, while you still have to concentrate 100% on the lines that you have to take. 100% on the sausage curve you have to go and don't hit any walls. It's a really difficult situation, but seem to be able to handle it. Of course, Casper seemed to be his teammate, but they have Daniel Murphy coming up behind them, who doesn't really care what kind of color they have on their car. He just wants to be in the P1 position. So they're gonna have to start pedaling a little harder than they have been if they want to keep the nice little gap that they had to everybody else. It's from Thailand. Once again, 44 car. P7, really close to the Porsche ahead, and then we have the blue. Is it I think it's an Acura. Seemed to be a little impatient when he was trying to get across the pedal there between Casper and Emma.
John Paul Seaman a little bit further up really on the push. He's just set a purple sector 1, so trying to gain a bit of time on the cars ahead, but this is the closest battle we've got right now. GT3 of Ignis back out on track is going to get in the way of Chris Van Stralen, but it's not going to stop. Carlos Ponce is off ahead. Had a crash
I
for
didn't really see what happened there.
Samir Ashad up the road. Let's see if we can review what happened to Carlos. It's not logged it as off track, so I'll see if I can find a replay.
Yeah, seems to be a little bit of replay of the situation we just had. It's right after this corner where Carlos Ponce goes off.
Yeah, he went. Let's replay it one more time. There we go. Apologies.
Yep. So notice the blue car leading currently goes off, or goes a little too wide, and then loses a lot of lap time by having two wheels on the gravel. That does not increase your acceleration. Actually does the exact opposite, and then a capitalize from Kevin Hill, who now goes up into P5.
10-second time penalty for Matthias Vincent for crashing with a GT3. Carlos Ponce, like you say, close here, close indeed. Chris Van Stralen behind, also very close.
Did we already get a replay of that one? I don't remember. Matthias fighting actually up into P2 now. We didn't have a too great of qualifying session, not for his standards at least. But Balash still leading. A little bit difficult to determine the gap between the two. It seems to be going up or down all the time. Eloy into the pits. So is he pitting for the first time now, or does he have a problem that we didn't get to see?
If there was a problem, seems weird. I don't believe this is his first stop.
Lap 6 time penalty for car 244. It's a 5-second causing collision.
He pitted after 8 minutes after we got a meatball flag for that incident that we saw that took out Hector Colazo. So that's just his first pit stop for fuel. He'd have been hoping to make it to a time where he could go to the end, but that's not going to be long enough to go to the end. You wouldn't have thought without some massive fuel saving. So unfortunate for him that is probably going to put him out of the race. Yeah.
It's not going to be easy for him to get up into P3.
Marcel Roof.
Of pit stops. Incidents being looked at. No race incident yet. Between the cars. Lap 14. Daniel Rönneke dropping down a little bit. He's P4 now, not running P3 as he was before. Pretty close to Alvaro Gutierrez in the blue car. Then it's not Marco Ruff up ahead, but I think it's Kevin Hill. Almost has to be.
I believe it's Alvaro.
No,
it's
it has to
Alvaro.
be Marcus Ruff. It's Marco Ruff, yeah.
Alvaro, then Marcel Roof, yeah.
Ruff that have a great gap to Verdonk. Sorry, confusing a little bit between the three cars there, but a three-way battle for P2. Seems to be a little bit of GT3 traffic here. Up ahead is Marco able to pull away. Try and watch timings a little bit. Didn't seem like he was compromised too much. Still has a nice gap down to Alvaro. It's going to be benefiting from the slipstream down this relatively long straight.
You can see the time ticking down there. But lifts off a little bit early in the braking zone. Oh, the lock up for the Porsche.
Goes wide in the first corner, and that's inviting Alvaro into an overtake. Manages to defend nicely. Marco Ruff. Alvaro was trying to solve the dummy, but doesn't scare off Marco as much. Who actually helps him. He scares him enough to make a mistake, and that's him up into P2. Lovely racing there from Alvaro, playing the mind games to perfection. Makarov, Daniel Rönecke also, as we see in the timing tables, goes past Makarov. Of course, doesn't help that he makes 2 mistakes in 2 corners almost back to back.
Instant here for Carlos Pons. Leave. He just went off track. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Late braking, tries to turn, and then the car doesn't go the way that his steering wheel wants it to go.
That's
Fortunate.
not what you need when you're close to the incident limit.
No. Was he close to the incident limit?
Fairly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Might want to train a little bit more next time then if he doesn't want to go through this long pit lane. It's actually a really long pit lane. The drive-through hurts you more here than in the board on other tracks. I can just mention Watkins Glen's a little bit shorter.
Yeah, they're straight here, so long and so high speed, and you're ticking down there very slowly when all the cars ahead of you are not.
Yeah. Not sure we got a replay of that. Adam Jarvis on board with a Porsche.
A little bit far.
6th place, managing a little bit of traffic here.
Yeah, a little bit far off the cars
pretty
ahead.
close to most people. Yeah, it has Lawrence behind actually. That's the interesting view between that battle.
And interestingly, Daniel Morpay gained a lot of time on the leaders. Not sure if that's because the pace has come down a little bit since they've swapped positions, but Daniel Morpay right on them, and Daniel Maggione is about to join this battle. We're going to get a 4-way fight for the lead in GT3 Pro. We had a couple of GT3 drivers unhappy with the amount of coverage that they were getting in the last event, and I'd say GTP was much more exciting.
For P2, it's Daniel Murphy. He's up the inside. He's still up the inside of Kasper Umelen. And now he's gonna show what the BMW is made of. He's gonna have a drag race. Actually, 3 cars here having a drag race up into the first chicane. Now he's up the inside again. Yep.
Yeah, W with an incredible
top
slingshot
speed from the BMW, almost pulling away. What about this Audi? A little bit stuck behind Kasper. Unfortunately, Kasper goes around the outside of Daniel. Murphy manages to clinch onto his P2, but I don't think this is over. This is Daniel. He's coming back. Is it his turn to go around the outside? No, it's not, says Kasper. He's still in P2, and it's still Daniel Maggione in P4. He's just waiting for the 2 to make a mistake so he can get past. He's not too interested in getting involved in this. He just wants to capitalize on the mistakes that these 2 make. And if they keep on fighting the way they are, I think he might be able to capitalize on something like this. GTP traffic compromising the entry there into turn 9. And then he's around the outside into Aqua Miliali.
Oh no!
They touch, and it's Daniel touching Daniel, and it's Daniel being turned around. Unfortunately, it's Maggione that ends up on top, so he's P3, but with the time penalty he's probably gonna get, it's not gonna be for long.
Have a look at what happened.
Yeah, just tries to go around the outside, was inspired by Kasper.
Oh yeah, pinches him towards the apex a little bit.
From Miliani, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Battle isn't over though. Kasper Umelen right back on the back of his teammate. So looks like the Porsche maybe doesn't quite have the pace of the Audi. We did say that after the pit stops, maybe, you know, it's one thing to lead and it's much harder than following your teammate who's leading the race. So can he keep his teammate behind, or are we going to see Kasper Umelen think, I don't want to fight with these guys, I'm going to get past you and drive away, because something's going to go very wrong if we do some more of this side by side, which, as we've just seen, it can quickly go wrong for the leaders. Got about 20 minutes left in the race, by the way, so we will be seeing some pit stops.
Yeah, surely Kasper is gonna have some nice pace. He's just had a a tough battle with 2 other cars, and then he's able to get right up Emma's rear bumper. So Emma he's in a sticky situation if he wants to keep his P1. But I think a podium position, sorry, is definitely up for grab for him. I think he's going to be able to stand on the second step as well without much fighting. But P1, I'm giving it to Casper as it's standing right now.
Yeah, they seem to still be pulling away from Stefan Vestra, currently P3. So
Yeah,
looks like the pace is good enough for the podium from Emre, but perhaps not good enough for the win at the moment. It's going to be, like I say, interesting to see what Casper does. Remember, these guys are going to have to pit again. They may have pitted later, but they are going to have to pit again. And Casper this time might get that slightly shorter stop, although he will still have used quite a lot of fuel in that little battle we just saw. So he'll maybe be able to jump his teammate in the pit stops this time around, but the saving that he's done won't be as good as the saving that Emre was able to do last time around. He's right, very close, right up on the bumper of the car in front, who goes a little bit wide onto the gravel. Point out that Matteo Lemre leading in GT3 AM at the moment, closely followed by Bart for half a second. Oh, that was an opportunity for a move.
No.
He thinks better of it.
Keep on playing the team games. Rule 1 of racing, don't hit your teammate.
Black
Rule 2
flag
of racing.
for car 39 is for too many incident points.
Yeah.
Just like to give a shout out to the car number 39. They've not been racing for a massive amount of time compared to some of the other guys in this period. In this league, but they're giving it a go, racing in the AM class, and they're going out there and giving it all, which is what we appreciate. That's why we've got the AM class. Seats are currently half price off, given we're halfway through the season now, in the store, which you can find a link for in the description. Just while we're here, before we went on air, we only needed 4 more new subscribers to hit that big 500 mark, which would be massively appreciated. So if anybody could hit that button, it doesn't really change much of what you see. It just means you might get you the upcoming races put on your feed. So hit that button, give us a follow, and you'll get to see some more races like this. Casper Umelen, again, really close. This is as close as he's been on the run into turn 1, I think. Ule, do you think that it's worth it for him to make the perhaps riskier move?
Yeah, no, it's a good question you ask. Could perhaps get a little bit closer, but you saw how it was when the roads were switched around. He's just gonna end up having Emma right behind him. So does he want to get in front just to have his teammate right behind his rear? It's not really worth for him. At the same time, he sees how Emma is going to be able to pass him in the pit lane as he starts to wipe his wipers. No, but staying behind, as we've mentioned so many times, it saves you fuel, and if you can save enough fuel to get past him in the pit lane, that's the safest option. And with the pace as he's running right now, there's no real reason for him to go ahead. Also saw how he was able to catch up, so I think if it comes down to pure pace, I think Casper has the upper hand, unfortunately, for Emma. But yeah, you said it earlier, the GT3s was not too happy with our coverage of the GT3 battle that we were having, but they take it into their own hand, and when they give us a gift like this, there's no reason for us not to cover it. Especially not when we look into some of the GTP battles that we have out on track. P1, 2, 3 in the AM class, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, so not really close to each other, right? Blas having a tremendous race, 15 seconds in front of Jiangsu Ovale, who's somehow had a great comeback there. We are going to be looking into the last couple of pit stops. As just mentioned, that we have 2 cars here pitting, actually. So that might be coming into play, but a great gap between the GTP cars, especially compared to GT3s. Lovely racing also in GT3M. See Bart Eindhoven right behind Matteo Limray within a second, so can also provide some great racing Right now, it's Eldon Cendric P11. He is right behind what I would assume is an AM driver. He's not close to any pro drivers.
Matteo in front. I don't know why it says pro on the bumper.
Matteo?
Should say I think that's probably because the livery was for his teammate who used to race in pro, now racing in the GTP class, but he's going to get a good run here. This is for the
You
lead.
should have Bart really close. Shouldn't we? Right behind him. 14th, yeah.
There we go. That's Eldon in between the two, who is a pro driver, stuck in between this and battle for the lead. Really difficult position for Eldon. He'll want to get past Matteo, but won't want to impact the fight for the lead in the other class.
No, I think Bart can...
Oh, we're going to go
be
3
very
wide.
happy not... Yeah, almost going 2 wide. I was afraid they were going to touch GTP cars. He can be happy about the GTP traffic slowing down the 2 drivers in front, and he can be happy about the pro driver that's trying to fight his way past Matteo Lemre. If he's close enough, he can try and make his way through at the same time as the Porsche. But let's try and see Matteo having a solid race as the team right now still in P1.
Yeah, Matteo will be keen to keep this car in between the two of them. It gives him a little bit more buffer to play with, particularly when it comes to the pit stops. And it does look like Eldon in the pro class is kind of struggling to make his way past. Gravel ahead. Somebody.
Smoke up ahead. Do we have anyone? Yeah, we have someone in the wall with a red GTP car. Who are we on with here? It's Mohamed Colombo, our 39 car. Recent participant. Coming into
gonna lose a rear.
A little bit of a spin over correction, then it's a slight touch with the wall. Didn't look like it was bad enough for him to having to go into the pit. Probably a bit more cosmetic than actual bodywork damage. Luckily for him, manages to keep it nicely out of the wall.
An important hit for the GT3 Pro. But
Spart passed?
I don't think he's passed. I think he's pitted.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, there you go.
Saying that, no, he is passed. Because Matteo is pitted. There we go.
Yep.
Apologies, getting confused there. So he's got to try and lay down a decent lap now while Matteo is in the pit lane.
Yeah, and he's lucky to have the benefit of a little bit of slipstream there from Eldon. Looks like he's trying to... Yeah, okay, it's a little too far ahead to be towing him around, but if he gets a little closer, he can get the slipstream, and then he can gain a little bit of time. He was really close to Matteo Lemre, so not much separating the two, so any time that he can gain here on his, what I would assume is an in-lap, is a time he can use it towards the end of the race. Don't have much time left, it's only 12 minutes. Might also start to look into a little bit of rain, as we was not promising at the start of the race, but we at least mentioned that it's a possibility to get a little damp here towards the end.
Looks like we've avoided it. Update from race control is no rain expected, so
yeah,
I believe we are going to have a bit of an opposite of that in Silverstone next week, where the weather is expected to be absolutely torrential. We've got a forecasted timeline set up for Silverstone, so make sure you tune in for that one. Bart's in the pit lane. Let's go on board with Matteo and see how he's getting on. Very close to the end of the lap now. It's passed by a hypercar.
GTP, perfect.
Not at the right time, but Matteo massively improved from where we saw him a few seasons ago. He would have really struggled to deal with that traffic there, but they just let it slide through perfectly. Didn't fault himself at all. Through the final 2 corners. Rivazza 2. Lay down the power.
Where's Bart?
Bart's moving. Don't know where he is, but he's moving.
The pits. It's going to be really interesting to see this. He is flying towards turn 1. That's Bart. Bart is coming out, but he's going slow because he's just come out of the pit lane. Matteo come into turn 1. He's
extends on the brakes a little bit too much, trying to not lose the time.
Unfortunate. Oh. Have to deal with what's currently a P2, 10 minutes to close a gap that's just over 1.5 seconds, but he has the pace to do it. Matteo's not a slow driver. As long as he can keep his car clear of GTP traffic, he should be able to pull something like this down. I'm sure he's gonna get his head down, close his lid. I think it's open on the picture that we see at the bottom there. Then he's gonna be able to give Bart a little bit of a fight for his money. Someone that's also giving someone a little bit of a fight is Silvaro. Oh, lot of traffic that they have to deal with here, the two drivers.
Trying to go for the lead in GTP.
Yeah, 2.5 tenths separating the two for Dunk. Has been leading for quite some time. Took over the lead from what's his name? Cavano?
Hector Calazo, yeah.
Alonso, yeah, sorry.
John Paul Siemens in the pit with a meatball flag. Not sure what's happened to him.
Not up the inside this time. He had a 4-second gap earlier, so really nice big difference between him and whoever was P2 at the time, but seemed to have been slimmed down a lot. Alvaro really on the edge of that car, really close to for Duncan.
Apologies. Let's go back to live images.
Bart pulling away a little bit. Matteo Lemre is still within the 1.6, 1.7 gap that he was as Bart came out of the pit lane.
He moved for Bart. I was going to give Matteo the lead. He hits the wall.
Yeah, and that was an effect of him touching the sausage curb, unsettling the car, and then it's him losing the rear on the exit of the corner. Really unfortunate for Bart. That was a fight I would have loved to see. But luckily for Matteo is going to be one happy camper right now. He's in P1. He has 10 seconds. Ooh.
That's how John Paul Seaman got the meatball flag. Driving into the back of a GC3 on pit lane entry.
Yeah, and was it Sean Paul going in too fast, or was it the Porsche going in too slow?
I don't know. I think we'll leave that one for race control to review. It's going to be hard to tell without looking at the data in more detail.
Yeah, but once we get out of this replay, just look at the timing table. Look at the gap that Matteo has. 10 seconds to Amy Grime, as it was currently following Alvaro Gutierrez.
Alvaro giving the headlight flash to the driver ahead, trying to throw him off a little bit. 10-second gap, like you said, for Matteo. He's just going to hold on for 8 more minutes. You'd expect him to be able to keep that position. It'd be really good to see. I believe that would be Matteo's.
Sorry to interrupt. It's a pit stop from him and Casper. The 2-1 is Casper ahead. Casper retakes his lead in the GT3 Pro class. So just like Emma was doing to Casper in the first stint, Casper has now...
Emma pulls away much quicker from the box.
Yeah, and they change? What...
Porsche is still ahead. Emre with a much quicker pit stop. Let's see if we can get the pit time up on screen for you there. Emre half a second quicker in the pit lane.
No. Now I'm a little confused. Either Emre is just really fast or he's taking less fuel than he has to. Anyway.
Perhaps saving a little bit of fuel there.
Casper didn't manage to capitalize on it in the same way that Emre was able to do in the first stint.
Yeah, perhaps maybe the sort of what we were thinking was a lack of pace was more to do with saving that time in the pit lane. That would explain why he was a little bit slower on track. He was saving a little bit of fuel so that he wasn't stopped for as long as he could have been. Alvaro still only 3 tenths off the lead in Class A, but Emre has actually gained time in the pit stops on his teammate.
Yeah, but we've seen Casper catch up to Emma before, so do you think he's gonna get past now? I think if any of these two drivers have the speed to pass one another, I think it's Casper that has the upper hand. Lawrence Stridal Striland, sorry. I have a second behind Adam Jarvis, who is once again I have a second behind Mark Hutchinson. It's a great 3-way battle here for P5 in the GT3 Pro class, and not only P1 but also P5 up grabs for multiple drivers.
This is Alvaro going for the move. Can't
So
pull it off
car,
though.
no, it's not pass. Still a little bit behind for Donk. Yeah, and he's throwing everything at him. Trying to read through his textbook while driving the car. It's gonna be difficult. Not really getting the exit out of Aqua Minerali as he wants to, but does he I was gonna say it was a lovely exit out of there, but it seemed to be quite equal between the two. So nothing big down into Rivazza. Let's see. It's gonna be able to get the most out of it. Seems really tight here from Alvaro. Really nice corners. He's really close. As we come onto this long straight, he's gonna be able to deploy a bit more battery. Have not only the battery advantage, but also the slipstream as we come into turn 1. Really close. It's gonna be less than a tenth separating the two into the corner. Ooh, not close
And
enough.
GT3 is going to get in the way of the Acura multiple times. And he gets fed up. Alvaro gets fed up, and yeah.
Air raid control.
Yeah,
Down to 190.
getting a little too impatient there. I think Gutierrez fortunately should have
With my clutch.
backed out. And what's the gap now? That it is a little bit 6 seconds in 3 minutes. I'm sorry, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that. We have seen it before. Not 6 minutes, 6 seconds in 3 minutes, but a huge gap coming down to nothing. It just a matter of one final lap. So everything is possible as long as the race is going. Back to Lawrence here, fighting for P5 with Adam and Mark. 3 drivers just driving their Porsches and Audi as it should be driven. Looks to be pretty unreal. Not much to fight for. Able to take the sausage curb, lovely. Think, yeah. Thinking back, Bart would he must have taken a lot of sausage curb coming into the final corner there in the chicane of Villeneuve. And the way that his car was spun around actually before he was exiting the corner until the car in a weird way. Of course not weird if you take the sausage curb as much as he did, but yeah. Didn't look like it's too much throttle to begin with.
It's a
Lawrence
GT.
not really helped here by any GTP traffic. Oh, as I say it, he's getting even closer to Mark Hutchinson up the rear of him.
Can he make a move into the next corner? It's a difficult corner to overtake, but if he can get alongside, he can maybe finish it off in the second stage. But so difficult to outbrake your rivals in GT3 class with ABS on these cars. It's very difficult to gain anything in the braking zone because everyone would be on the brakes as much as is physically possible. He's going to try a run.
Still, yeah, sorry, it's not Mark in front of him, it's Adam Jarvis, who doesn't have the benefit of slipstream from Mark Hutchinson, but Adam Jarvis seems to have the top speed, even though they're both in the Porsche. I'm not really sure how he's able to pull away that much, but great exit must have been. Little tighter line here from Lawrence. So nice to see if he's able to catch up. A little further up ahead.
Casper alongside.
Side by side with Imola coming into Pimatella. Let's see who's getting the best out of it. Is he going for it?
Oh, he's going to go for it in contact. He had much safer opportunities to make the move earlier in the race. Almost certainly thought he was going to get it done in the pits, and he hasn't. Oh, we're going to GTP off behind. We're going to watch this battle for the win.
Yeah, and I was holding back my commentary a little bit because it's not really easy to go up the inside of a high-speed corner like that, especially not in GT3. They don't really have the downforce to take the corner the way that you're required to if you want to make a pass much easier. To hang on around the outside. Luckily, they didn't have as much contact as we've seen other cars have. So there's both still a leading set of crowdiers passing them around the outside, but great slipstream here, 2/10 between the two. If he has a, is it checkered?
That's checkered.
So that was it. That was the final attempt for Kasper. So Emma, despite me not really believing in him, is able to take P1 in the GT3 Pro class. Great race from him. He played this one tactically, able to pass in the pit lane and then once again keep it up. Yeah, the second time around. Somehow manages to save enough fuel for him to not being overtaken by Kasper.
And we're waiting for Matteo to cross the line to confirm that he is the winner in GT3 AM. Should be on his run to the line now, I believe. Saying that.
Yeah, a little bit left there. Only really have Amy Grime to find him. Amy Grime 7 seconds behind Matteo.
Definitely taking
so
it
not much
cautious
for Amy to do right now.
On this final lap. He's lost about a second so far, but I think he's just making sure he has no mistakes.
Yeah, final corner. And then it's just flat and straight across the finish line. The driver of his caliber should be able to keep it clean. Let's see. Across the finish line, and then it is. I believe this is the first race win for Matteo, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe it is. He's been with us for a very long time, racing in several series at ASR. Congratulations to all the winners, of course, but it does feel great to see the progression that Matteo's made racing in ASR, several different classes he's taken part in, and he's really shown the progress he's made to come home and win the race at Imola, round 5 of the Anstor Racing IMSA Series Season 5. Nobody wants to remember for him. We kind of had an action-packed race, particularly in the GT3 field, close racing the entire time, which was great to see. A bit of a change from what we had last week. Don't think the GT3s quite suit the high-speed street circuit in the same way as the GTPs do, but they really showed how good the racing can be here this week.
Yeah, so Matteo with, I was gonna say it's the greatest gap between P1 and P2, but that's actually Blas to Rushy. That's taking that one 8.8 seconds down to Matthijs. Phenomenal dominant race from Blas today. Great qualifying performance, great race performance. Didn't really have to break much of a sweat. Was gone the moment the lights turned green on that one, and then just holding on for every lap. So as I say that, we get the final race results here. It's Blash P1, 8.8 seconds behind is Matthijs, who's getting some competition out of the season. It seems not able to take easy wins anymore. Then it's Patrick, 20 seconds behind, so still a little nice gap there. Young Vale, P4, then it's Eloy Cabanero, P5, Albert Preem, P6, and then to round it off, it's Jean-Paul Simon, P7, who also seems to be going out 7 laps behind, so it's not much to talk about there for him. Then it's Quinton Verdonk, also a nice gap there from P1 to P2, 5.2 seconds to Raul Gutierrez, who unfortunately had a bit of an incident at the end, who that led him to not being able to fight for the win ultimately. Then it's Daniel Ronike, lovely performance from the Cadillac driver, 16 seconds behind, just in front of Marcel Ruff, sorry. Then it's Davy van der Wacke, slightly behind him, 3/10. And then it's Dios, P7, Carlos Ponce, P8, Robin Duhamel, P9, and Mohamed Colombo, P10. Round up GTP AM drivers. See, we're joined here right now with Matteo. Actually, I think we'll just take the final results and then we'll have a little bit of an interview. Stay tuned for that. Emma Kamnada was also briefly in here, GT3 Pro winner, just in front of Kasper Umelen. Then it's Stefan Wester, who wasn't really close to the pair, but finished off in P3. Then it's Daniel Maggioni, followed by Mark Hutchinson, P4 and P5, P6 for Adam Jarvis, P7. Lawrence Stryland, Dan Murphy, P8, Paolo Antinori, P9, and Cohen Garrett, P10. Moving on to the final cast, GT3M, it's great win from Matteo Lemray, 6.9 seconds in front of him, Grind, who's also had a great race, up into P2 in front of Bart Eindhoven, who unfortunately also had a little bit of a spin there, but manages to get a P3 in the end. Howard Gooden, P4, Anthony Caranta, P5, Ignas Vinchas, Vinchasevskis, P6. Didn't really have the race of his career, but a P6 nonetheless. Ricardo Sampati, P7, and then to round off, it is Michael Bouter in P8.
Okay.
33 laps down. So
we've got Emre and Matteo in here, the winners in the GT3 classes. So we'll go to Emre first. Congratulations on the win. I don't believe you would have been watching the commentary, but Ulo was a little bit sceptical you were going to be able to pull it off. But it looks like you saved enough fuel in the second stint to still have a quicker pit stop than your teammate.
Yeah, it was a very interesting result. I had a very good start. And after that, I was fuel saving a lot after at the back of Casper. And I thought, let me sit back, let's see what happens. And after the first pit stop, I came on front, but that's because I think of the lesser fuel that the Porsche has. So I thought, let's drive again a fuel save stint. And after the second stop, I had a huge gap after the pit stop, but I made a mistake in the first turn, so it was very close. And in the last lap, we had a very close battle, and I was very lucky that I had no 1x, because if Matisse had contact with me, I would probably have a drive-through. It would be my 18x. So I got lucky today.
yeah, maxing out your incidents, that's great to hear. It's not I was not talking about your racing skills, because of course you're pretty fast, also able to keep up with Casper. It's just you probably noticed it as well. Pretty far into your second stint, Casper had a fight with Daniel Maggioni and Daniel Murphy. The two Danielson made contact later on, but he was able to catch up again. How much, I see you two driving in the same livery car, how much were you talking about fighting each other at the end? Was it just you taking it as safe as possible, or did you just go all out?
Now, after this last stop, we decided to fight. The first two stints were fuel saving. So they had the incident I saw on the second stint. They had the incident with Daniel and Mattia, I think. I had a gap of 2 or 3 seconds, but I thought by myself, let's keep it together, and we will see after the last stop. And last stop, he was definitely faster because he had much more pace than me. So I got lucky in the end with the win.
Yeah, all right.
Not only luck, but also great defending. Had a little bit of a fight there at the end. But George, did you have a question?
No, just going to say congratulations on the win.
Thank you, guys.
So we see some more close racing. It was good to see the close racing in GT3 this week as well. So looking forward to more of that at Silverstone next week.
Let's hope, and then we'll have rain. So we are excited.
Yeah, be very.
Enjoy the rain.
Yeah. Rain is great, mate. I like it very much.
All right.
We are Dutch drivers, so
we're used to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, best of luck.
Thank you, Matteo. I believe you're here. Yeah. So that was really interesting from you. We saw you leading for quite a little bit of time in the second stint, and then lose the lead in the pit stop, and then regain it after the incident for the other driver. But you able to hold it all the way to the end. I think from my side, it's been great to see the development you've shown while you've been at ASR, and I think you won a race in Spa finished on the podium at a race in Spa last season, the season before, and now won a race. How does it feel to have come so far, I guess?
To be honest, 2 years back, I don't think I would be able to win a race. And yeah, this win was due to a lot of race incident. I take it. Not gonna lie, I like how it's going. But yeah, it was pretty hard to do because I was the slowest of the top 3. Ignace is, of course, a lot faster. And the other driver, Bart, I think, was behind me and in front sometimes. He was faster, but every time I managed to be in front of him due to the traffic, and yeah, it's just faster. After each pit stop, he is back in front, and yeah, when I see him Poon, to be honest,
Yeah, well, the race
it was
is
good.
yeah, I can imagine the feeling. You probably thought that the win was gone, the podium was still on, and then to see the car ahead of you go off and sail by must be pretty satisfying. I mean, I think ultimately at the end of the day, you won because you were the most consistent and the most mistake-free of all of the GT3 AM drivers on track. So I think really, even though it feels like there were a lot of incidents going on, you ultimately were the person that avoided the incidents. So I think you do deserve the win. So don't convince yourself that you didn't earn it, because you absolutely did.
Yeah, during the last stint, I was thinking about only one thing. Don't crash like George when he does a pace car. Don't crash, don't crash, don't crash.
Yeah. So again, when the pressure's on, it's easy to do, isn't it? That's all I can say. Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations. We hope you get a few more of them before the end of the season. There's definitely, obviously, some great opportunity for podiums as well in the GT3 AM class. So good luck with the championship.
Thanks, and to be honest, next one won't be mine.
Okay.
It will rain, so it won't be mine.
Yeah, it's going to be a very wet race in Silverstone, isn't it? So we'll see what happens there. Going to be a bit crazy, I think.
Congratulations with this one. At least this was yours.
Thanks, mate.
All right, we're going to wrap it up there, everybody. Make sure you join us next week for Silverstone, as has been hinted at a couple of times in the broadcast and by both of the drivers we've interviewed. We've got a forecasted wet race for Silverstone next week, so there's going to be a little bit of wet practice for the drivers with the aim for the track to dry up a little bit for qualifying. Race control putting out a reminder there for rain coming next week, and we're going to get a dry start followed by rain entering after perhaps halfway through the second lap was the aim, but it could be a little bit earlier, it could be a little bit later, and then it's going to get heavier before it dies down and then picks up again right at the end of the race. It's going to be really interesting to see the tyre strategies and pit start with aim for a little bit of manipulation to perhaps not have what is just a wet race, but perhaps quite a strategically interesting race, which will be great entertainment, I'm sure. And for those of you that aren't already, hit that subscribe button. We only need 6 more subscribers, as I said, to get us over that 500 line, so massively appreciated. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ule, for joining me. Thank you to our stewarding team, and thank you to all the drivers who took part in the race, and we hope to see everybody back again next week. All right, goodbye.